Welcome to the basement.
This is a UFC Hall of Famer, Ken Shamrock, and you're listening to the Basement Boys Podcast. Enjoy. God bless. Happy holidays.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast. I am Chris Gray. That is Eric Mincer. Right here we got Devin Mitchell.
What it do?
Remember to hit that like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star rating if you're on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We even got a Facebook because we old men. And
Get off my lawn!
All right, so let's jump into it. Weird week in football. This is going to be our end of season NFL special. So lots of football today. We're going to take a couple calls. And let's just jump into the big story of the week.
Well, we got our playoff week 1 matchups set up. We had the college football playoffs. Again, we owe an entire state an apology. We'll get to all that. But I think the most pressing matter is the NFC East division was won by the Washington football team in an absolute NFC East game. Absolute, that's how that division deserved to end.
I disagree. Just because I don't think you can even put that on the NFC East because that was disgraceful. They might play bad football, at least this year, but that was an absolute disgrace.
That was bad football to its perfection. Devin, as our resident Giants diehard fan, Giants lover, I mixed terms.
It's okay.
Take us through your emotional roller coaster watching Sunday night as the Eagles basically gave up.
Yeah, I mean, to start things off, like that Giants-Cowboys game, that was emotional roller coaster. I mean, that's what you want to see from Week 17 divisional rivals fighting for that last playoff spot. Both teams gave it their all, and I thought someone was going to get decked by the way that Nick Gates and Dexter Lawrence were going at each other.
They were getting
But-
chippy.
Yeah, I legit thought someone was going to throw punches. But the Giants, they squeaked out a victory, so we did what we had to do. And then to be sitting...
Wayne Gallman owes every Giants fan a cigarette after that fumble.
Oh my goodness,
The butt recovery.
I swear I'm pretty sure I lost a couple years off of my life during that whole fumble
Yo,
scenario.
What is with New York teams and butts?
It was the butt fumble for us, butt recovery for you. I mean,
What can we say? We like butts.
New York is definitely an ass town.
asses on the football.
But yeah, to come to know that your seeding in the draft and the playoffs comes down to one other game, and you expect that both teams are going to go out there, play their hardest, and then to see Doug Peterson just be like, you know what, fuck this, Jalen Hurts, you're great, you're doing awesome, you go sit down now. We gotta get Nate Sofield, and give him reps. That's a bullshit excuse. You're not playing to win at that point. You just basically wave the white flag and say, "Hey, Washington, congratulations, you're the champion."
See, I disagree. I don't think that's even waving the white flag. I think, this is almost bordering on Black Sox material.
I don't think they were taking bets on the side.
Right.
But
Like I said, almost bordering.
I see what you're saying of just blatantly not putting in the effort
No,
to win.
it's and here's the difference. The people who have been saying oh no, it's fine. Basically Eagles fans who want to pretend like it's okay.
No.
They've been saying oh well, you see the Chiefs, they didn't play anyone in the last thing. Isn't that the same thing? No. If they came out in this if they came out in this game and said, you know what, we're starting Nate Sofield from the beginning, we don't want to risk Hurts getting hurt or anything like that, fine. I would have accepted it, but they put in Hurts, they let him play, and as soon as they start playing well, to the point where they had a shot at legitimately winning this game, they said, no, we can't win this game. Let's take this bum off the street.
Well, we got a call describing how accurately that was, but I haven't really heard many Eagle fans coming to the defense of it. Mostly, I've just been seeing people just.
Oh yeah, I'm saying this is definitely the minority of people, but from the couple things I have seen.
Well, what I've seen is that the Eagles fans are mostly upset that when the game was 17-14, Eagles were down to the Washington 8-yard line. Rather than go for the points to tie the game, they took a shot and it completely backfired, and they gave Washington the ball back, and Washington went on to get another field goal. So rather than try to at least take the points and make it more competitive, they took a gamble, which is, we know Doug Peterson's thing is going for it on 4th down. But I just don't know how you can go back to your locker room after that game and say that you put your team in position to win.
I don't think you can. Not when you got dudes like Jason Kelce and Zach Ertz, and half of that team is still the same team from the Super Bowl, and it's been 3 years since they were there, and now you're telling me that 3 years later you're basically just tanking in the last game of the season in the last half? Come on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The only problem I have with it, like I said, if they would have started their backups, if they just went into the game being like, hey, this is what the game is, like a lot of teams did who are either locked in or just aren't playing for anything, that would have been fine. Because at least you're coming out and saying, this is what this is.
Right.
But when you come out and at the exact opportunity you have to win the game, you're saying, no, I'm I'm actively trying not to win this game. That's when you make the switch. That's the thing that makes me upset.
Right, and we have some a couple of calls from some very angry Giants fans. We could play those right now. We could play those in a minute. Either way, I understand your pain, Giants fans, but I do want to acknowledge that it was kind of a shared moment between Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth calling the game and everybody watching it, where we were all kind of thinking 1, this is really bad football, but 2, what the hell is going on? Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth were both saying well, Giants fans, we feel your pain. We're not exactly sure what the thought process is here, and it was just we kind of all were they were feeling it the same way we were. We were all just very shocked by it.
And I was listening to Chris Canty today. Actually, he was talking about it, and he was saying they're saying, oh, they wanted to get this guy some reps. Maybe they wanted to see him on tape. I guess he'd been there 4 years and he was trying to do something nice for the guy, which when the fuck has that ever been a thing in the NFL? But you're talking about a guy like Jalen Hurts, who you should be wanting as much tape on as you can possibly fucking get.
Right.
Because you still have a decent draft pick. There are a decent amount of QBs in this thing. If he's not the guy and Carson Wentz is not the guy, you have choices at other options. I get it.
And we know Nate Sudfeld is not the guy.
Yeah,
no.
Every single person knows that.
Nate Sudfeld could probably do our job as well as we can do his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here,
the worst part, I was just going to say, though, real quick, you look at teams with nothing to play for, like Minnesota and Detroit. Granted, no defense was played, but those offenses balled out. They played like hell. If we win, we're going to the Super Bowl.
All right, should we get into these Giants fans calls?
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Hello, it's Cole Brown again. Eric's friend. I'm from Mount Kisco. You guys already know that. So, my comment about what happened last night and the Giants is twofold. I'll start with the Giants. Now, it sucks that we couldn't get in the playoffs because of the Eagles. And, yeah, that's what it boils down to. We obviously could have done better. We could have beat the Eagles the first time if it wasn't for Evan Ingram. We could have beat the Dallas Cowboys, which collectively, if it wasn't for the offense. And that's why. I mean, I'm angry because I hate the Eagles and I hate Doug as a person. But to the more pressing matter about the Eagles, they straight up tanked. We can't call them, we can't call them tough. We can't call them strong because they're weak. They look like sorry bitches out there by just giving up on Jalen Hurts. I mean, who knows? They could have won that game and it could have been a different story. I mean, it boiled down to from ninth pick to sixth pick. I mean, how dumb does that look for your franchise, for Jeff Lurie? I mean, but on a funny note, though, that was the most pathetic way and the most NFC East way to, end football by a team tanking. All right, guys, have a good day. I'll see you.
Well, Cole, I agree with you. First off, thanks for the phone call. Keep them coming. But yeah, they are sorry bitches for this shit, for the stunt that they pull.
Can we take a vote to just refer to them as the Philadelphia sorry bitches from now on?
No, because I don't want to do that because that is not on the players whatsoever.
You still got outvoted 2-1, so they are the Philadelphia sorry bitches.
Either way. But you can't put that on the players whatsoever. Like, the players did whatever they could to win that game with the cards they were dealt. That was all Doug Peterson, and maybe it came down from the top. Other than that, that's 100% on Doug Peterson.
Well, I don't think Doug Peterson owes any Giants fans an apology. I'm sorry, Dev and Cole. Like, I know you guys are upset, and you have every right to be because that was just blatant tanking and terrible. He owes the city of Philadelphia, and he owes his team an apology because, like I said, how do you go into the locker room after that game and say, I know Jalen Hurts has been on a roll. We're going to let him play 3 quarters. And like you said, in the fourth quarter, the last quarter of the season, we're going to take him out and have this guy who has no reps with the first team, and he's going to take over.
And honestly, I think he kind of does owe New York an apology because, like I said, if they just lost the game, then they lost the game. Whatever, you didn't win enough games to be in the thing. And like I said before, I don't even think a 6-10 team should be able to make the playoffs. But under the current the current state that we're in right now, it's what's being able to happen. And it's you robbed people of something by actively not doing your job.
I mean, yeah, Cole's right. Giants definitely could have won more games. If we beat the Eagles here, you beat the Cowboys there, we don't have this problem that we're in now. But like you said, this is the current state we're in. And hey, someone's got to be NFC East champion. And it just sucks that it comes down to a team or a coach, not putting the best product out there.
Right, but I mean, to go on to your point and Cole's point, 2-point loss at home to the Buccaneers early in the season. The Giants lost in Chicago by 3 points or 4 points. They were in that game, they lost it. The game where Dak Prescott's ankle snapped in half, the Giants had a 14-point lead and they blew it. I'm sorry, Giants fans, you went 6-10. You didn't go out and wow. You didn't win the division, take it by storm. And I hate to say it, but I think top to bottom, Washington football had a better roster. I think they're a better team.
No, I 100% agree. And it's, like I said, it's not the fact that Washington's in and New York's out. Because I'm not a Giants fan. I'm a Jets fan. Everyone knows this. This is not... I have no, actual stake in this. It's just the fact that it was literally stolen out from under them by someone actively disrespecting the game.
Stop the count. Let's get our lawyers and go to Philadelphia. There's fraud. Massive fraud.
I'm calling them right now. Give me 1 second.
Let's get Rudy Giuliani and have a press conference.
I'm gonna call up the governor of fucking Pennsylvania and tell him to find 15 more points for the Philadelphia Eagles, all right?
It's not what happened, it's how it happened.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
But we do have another call here, which is just a really nice indictment on who Nate Sudfeld is, and I think that's worth listening to.
Hi, guys. This is Uncle Richie from Westchester. Just wanted to talk a little bit about that Giant game. Yeah, what a game. It's one thing if the Washington football team goes out and wins fair and square, but come on. The Eagles handed them that game on a silver platter. I mean, the Eagles staff at halftime actually went outside the stadium, wearing masks, of course, walked around and found a guy carrying a six-pack and said to him, hey, buddy, want to make $500? You can be the Eagles quarterback for the second half, and we'll pay you. And God, the guy loved it. He thought it was a great idea. Well, he was wearing a mask too, by the way. So they brought him on the field, and you saw what happened. No NFL player could have done that badly. They made up some statistics from some guy nobody's ever heard of, and that's what happened. So they screwed the New York fan base and they screwed the Giants. And New York fans don't forget. We just don't forget these kind of things. So if the next time you see the Sixers playing the Nets or the Knicks and somebody, accidentally gets an elbow to the head on the Sixers, don't be surprised. Or if you see the Flyers, perhaps, going up against the Rangers or the Devils or the Islanders, and somebody gets the check of the century, like, into the boards and the boards break, don't be surprised. Or the Mets, or the Yankees facing the Phillies, and a couple of Phillies get high fastballs up at their neck or at their head. Again, don't be surprised. New York fans, remember this kind of bullshit, and we will get even. It's been Uncle Richie from Westchester. Thank you. It's been fun.
All right. We want to put out a general warning to every single person living in Philadelphia. Uncle Richie is coming for blood.
We got a bolo out for Uncle Richie in this Philadelphia city limits.
Yo,
Thanks, Uncle Richie, for the call.
He's a Jets fan too, and he was still tight.
He's more Giants. I'd say
he?
he's more Giants, yeah. But well, I don't think we're gonna see Bryce Harper getting hit by any pitches because of Doug Peterson. It's possible.
Honestly, I think out of all of those, I think the Rangers will probably take any excuse to send the Flyers into the boards.
Are we gonna stop? Are we gonna stop watching The Fresh Prince?
No.
He's West Philadelphia.
No.
No.
Always Sunny. Gone.
No. Well, fucking, I don't even like Always Sunny to begin with. Hot take. Yeah, fuck you.
Stop.
Terrible show. Terrible
Stop.
show.
Easy now. Easy. Easy, you two.
Never heard anything more false in my life.
But
keep it rolling.
I was gonna say, the Rangers, Flyers, they already don't like each other. So, give us one more reason to, as Chris said, send someone to the boards. Get a couple punches in. I'm game.
Speaking of the Devils, though, aren't the Devils also owned by Jeff Lurie?
Yeah, but fuck the Devils.
Yeah, but it's owned by the Eagles.
Yeah, but fuck the Devils.
Yeah, they're not gonna fight the Flyers.
First of all, they're Jersey. So he said New York fans. I barely even like putting the Islanders in there.
Right.
The Rangers will handle the Flyers.
I just don't. I mean, I get it. And yes, New York Giant fans, I feel your pain because that was an objectively painful to watch sporting event. That was just a bad football game, and it was a bad effort. Doug Peterson doesn't owe the Giants shit. Next year, when they comes down to it, they're going to be rivals again.
I get it, but it's still just a fucking scumbag move.
It is, but that's the part of rivalries. That's what sports do. Like Ohio State, who we will apologize to, they don't use the letter M for a whole week going up to the game against Michigan. Like, that's what rivals do.
Yeah, but that doesn't affect the game whatsoever.
I guess.
For me, it's an integrity of the game thing.
That's what Joe Judge was saying.
Yeah. Joe Judge went off on it himself.
As he should.
But, like we said before, Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. J.J. Watt went off on this a week ago. You just screwed over every single one of your fans, New York's fans, just the people that make you have this job where you're getting paid millions of dollars to fucking show grown men how to play a child's game. Like,
well, for Philly looking forward, they're going to have the number 6th overall pick. I believe they're going to use it on Devonta Smith, possible Heisman winner. This is being recorded the day of the Heisman Trophy ceremony. He's the current favorite. I'm currently writing an article for ProFootballMania.com in which I describe the 3 best fits for him, and I think the Giants would be a great fit for him if the Giants could get Devonta Smith to have a true number 1. But hey, the Eagles can fuck you that way too by taking him 6th because the Giants now pick 11th.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys pick 10.
Yeah.
So whatever the Giants need, the Cowboys could say, fuck it, we're doing it.
And if they do that, like, part of me is going to be like, fuck. But the other part's just like, all right, well, be prepared for the teams in front of you. Just, they say the best offense is a good defense. So if Giants are targeting, Devonta Smith, and either the Eagles or the Cowboys, for whatever reason, he drops that low and grabs him, I'll be like, fuck, but hey, that's the way it goes.
The Cowboys aren't going to take a receiver. But
well, I know they won't, but I'm just saying, like, if he was to drop.
See, but like you're saying, that type of thing, completely fine in a rivalry. Fuck the other team in the draft. Take the guy, if you have the cap space and you, want to sign someone that you know someone else is looking at, do that. That's fine. Don't intentionally lose a game.
All right, let me ask you this, Dev, but because I don't want to stay on this for the whole show, but let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If the tables were turned and the situation was flipped and the Giants were playing Washington, knowing that a Giants win means the Eagles get the division, would you want the Giants to win the game?
Same scenario?
Same scenario, just flipped. The Eagles would get in if the Giants win.
Yeah, I would want the Giants to win.
Really?
But it's not even about that to me. You can hope they lose. Like Jets fans, we were hoping they lose, but you did not want to see Sam Darnold walk out there and fucking just throw it to the other team to lose the game.
Right. All right. There's a difference, but
there's a difference between trying and losing
and trying to lose.
Yes.
Right. Like, I want to see my guys go out there and put out a good effort and be in the best possible situation to win. If it happens that they lose, because, a costly turnover or, hell, the other team plays better, then so be it. But when you pull a stunt like this where you're in that position, you could win the game, and then your coach is saying, we're going to go with this guy even though we have a better option, that's the part that's fucked up.
See, I really don't understand how Doug Peterson comes back from this, takes over the locker room next year, and anybody on that team has any respect for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
they might have to clean house.
Yeah, I think they're going full rebuild.
Carson Wentz came out and, the reports are that the relationship is fractured beyond repair, which, as you guys know, means broken. And yes. I don't know what they're going to do with him because, as we've discussed on the show before, his contract is huge. I personally think he's going to end up with the Colts one way or the other. We'll see.
I don't want that for the Colts.
Nobody does.
I don't care if Frank Wright used to coach Carson Wentz. Bad move.
Yeah, but I think Chris Ballard is a smart guy. He's been making some decent moves with that lineup over the past few years, so I'm not as sold on it as everyone else is, unless he sees something that no one else sees. I get it. His first season, he was immaculate, and then I think the next season he got hurt, but he was looking pretty good before that, and then this season he just, as everyone's been saying, is quote-unquote broken mentally or whatever. But I just don't see it from the guy.
Who knows? I mean, we know some teams are going to take a chance on Carson Wentz.
Of course.
Not for that money, though.
But we just, you just know the NFL. Someone will.
I mean, someone's going to take him because he'll put butts in seats. But
maybe. I
mean, that's a lot of money, though. Philly's going to have to eat a lot of that.
Just go back to farming, my guy.
All right, shall we move on to the other game that decided a division? The other division-winning game from this weekend was the Titans in an absolute great game against the Texans. The Titans won on a game-winning doink field goal that still went through. They battled back and forth. Shout out Ryan Tannehill for throwing an absolute dime to A.J. Brown, 51 yards to set up the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Deshaun Watson for not giving up, balling out, 360 yards. I mean, he led the league in passing this year. Deshaun Watson, I feel bad for him and J.J. Watt. We recently just saw a clip of them talking after the game saying, we wasted one of your years. We should have had 11 wins, blah, blah, blah. Titans are the AFC South champs. They will be hosting the Ravens first week of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, and just someone else you forgot to mention in that little thing. There's a little guy named
King
Derrick Henry.
King Henry.
I think he did. I think he ran for a couple yards or so.
He got.
Didn't he do something pretty important?
I believe he reached the 2,000 mark.
Goddamn.
Fuck, man.
Wasn't the last player to do it Chris Johnson, also of the Titans?
I believe so. CJ2K.
Yeah, King Henry. Congrats on the 2K.
Dude, and I think they said in the last 6 or 7. No, I think it was the last 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. He had something like 748 yards to hit that mark.
Yeah,
that's fucking incredible.
He had 230 against the Texans in this game. He just went off. He's just unstoppable. As the season gets on, he gets better.
Yeah, what's up with Tennessee though, and producing running backs getting 2,000 yards? I mean, granted, it's only 2 of them, but still, ways Chris Johnson did it back in the day, impressive. The way King Henry's doing it, like, holy crap.
That's the philosophy. That's like we talk about organizational philosophy and culture. That's their thing. They ground and pound rush game, and I think obviously Henry's the best back in the NFL right now. But I think because he's so good, we're able to see Tannehill use play action, and Tannehill's having an incredible year.
And like I said before, I think Ryan Tannehill is in the perfect situation for Ryan Tannehill because of this type of stuff, and it makes him look like a fucking star.
Yeah, and he's got good receivers.
Yeah, no,
AJ Brown's very talented.
I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I'm not saying it's whatever. Like, I'm not saying anything like that. But like I've said a million times on this podcast, having a run game like that will let you work off the play action. Will just open things up for you a little more. You know what I mean? And Derrick Henry is a receiving threat out of the backfield. Maybe not as much as some of the other guys in the league, but it's not like he's completely out of the passing game.
Right.
He's still he gets a few catches a game at the very least.
And you got to worry that even if he does catch the ball at, like, let's just say, runs a screen route, catches it, he will put someone in the ground and maybe get like make a 20-yard play out of that.
Just ask our old pal Josh Norman.
Oh yeah, he's a truck. He's a truck. He just runs over people, runs through people. So they're set up for the Sunday early game, 1:00 game on ESPN. It's going to be against the Baltimore Ravens. Talk about rushing. The Ravens had 400 rush yards against the Bengals. We know it's the Bengals, but 400 rush yards is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And didn't Lamar Jackson have a 1,000-yard season this year in rushing?
He did.
First ever quarterback to go back-to-back seasons 1,000 yards rushing.
He did. So the question becomes, who do you guys like in that game? I believe the Ravens are currently 3-point favorites, but as the week goes on, we'll get injury and COVID news.
Honestly, out of all the games, this is probably going to be the hardest one for me to pick. Because I really like what both teams are doing, but I feel like Tennessee's kind of where they were last season. I feel like they didn't make any big strides one way or the other. And I feel like Baltimore's kind of taking a step back a little this season. We'll get into that a little more when we do our little award show, because I have a little point on them. But yeah, it's just, so I have them kind of more even paced a little bit. And I know last year, even though Baltimore was good, the Titans are the ones who did eventually take them out in the playoffs. But I think last year, if you played that game 10 times, 8 are probably going Baltimore's way. This year, I'm not so certain on that. This is probably going to be the hardest game for me to pick out of all of them.
Would you say it's the revenge of the Titans?
Honestly, like, I'm leaning a little more that way right now. But Lamar's been surging ever since he got back from COVID, so.
Dev, who do you take in that one?
I mean,
it's in Tennessee, if that matters.
If there were fans, I would say it would, but regardless, I'm going to take Tennessee in this one. I just feel like with the way that Derrick Henry's been running, especially all over people, it's going to be very hard for the Ravens to contain. And I feel like the Titans are just, like, they found their groove, and they're going to take it.
So my thing, I'm going to go against both of you. I'm going to take the Ravens on this one just because the Tennessee defense has been horrible of late. They're missing Jadeveon Clowney. He's out for the year. But just the way that they were up against the Texans by 10 points in the third quarter. They just let the Texans completely back into that game. We know Deshaun Watson's great, but they had no answer. Lamar Jackson with J.K. Dobbins, Hollywood Brown had 2 touchdowns this weekend. I just think the Ravens offer something on offense that is more sustainable, especially because they can control the ball. If they're running, they had 40 minutes of time of possession this past weekend. So I think if the Titans can't stop Lamar, Lamar's going to have the ball, and Henry's not going to be able to do anything if he's on the bench.
But see, a point you'd raise there is, like, talking about Deshaun Watson and talking about them. I don't think the Baltimore's that much of, like, I think they're a way less passing threat than Houston is. Because Deshaun Watson, obviously, passing leader this year.
Right.
I feel like Tennessee's a lot better against the run. I'm not saying they're great I'm not saying they have a great defense, but I'm saying they're better against the run than they are the pass. And what have we been saying about the Ravens all season is they have Hollywood Brown, but
who else?
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. So we are gonna all make picks. We're gonna find a website, put them all out there. We're gonna invite you, the audience, people listening, people watching on YouTube, send us your brackets. I guess we're doing a March Madness kind of playoff pool. Winner might get some free Basement Boys merch. So we're gonna all make our picks throughout the week and have them up. That's where I'm going. I think the Ravens are gonna win this. I think they're just the better team. That's me. Shall we move on? Speaking of the Texans, I think the Texans are really screwed because their number 3 pick is going to go to Miami. And Miami played themselves out of a playoff spot. They finished the year 6-10, but they got embarrassed in Buffalo. The Bills took Josh Allen out, and Matt Barkley threw a touchdown. Gabriel Davis had 2 catches for 107 yards in the touchdown. Tua, 3 interceptions. Are we worried about Tua?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
You got to think, like, this was the first game he played without Brian Fitzpatrick, like, there to help save the day. And also, it was a cold weather game. You know, is the cold going to be a factor for Tua his whole career? Like, is he just going to be a quarterback that can't play meaningful games in the northern half of the country and come the winter?
Yeah. We saw his 2 worst games versus this one and the one he played in Denver maybe a month ago. I mean, he's a Hawaiian. He's played his whole career at Alabama, so, it's not like he's had to deal with the elements. I'm not ready to write him off just yet, but it wasn't encouraging.
Yeah, but I also think a few more years in the league, it's something that at least can be mitigated at the very least.
I don't know. I mean, there were throws where he was just completely missing guys by like 10 feet.
No, I agree.
Yeah, there's actually a third.
I'm saying specifically the cold thing. As he gets exposed to it more throughout his years of playing.
Oh, the cold thing? He's just got to do like a Rocky IV and just go up to the hills in Siberia and train with the snow and everything. Like,
everybody loves that cryotherapy shit. Just fucking throw him in there like David Blaine for like fucking an hour.
Take those ice baths.
Just remember his shoes. Don't be like AB and forget your shoes.
But we got to talk about AB too, because he had himself a day. But for Tua, there was one play on 3rd down where I don't even remember who it was. I want to say Jakeem Grant. It was like a 3rd and 6. The pass actually hit Jakeem Grant in the chest, but Grant jumped up, and he just missed it. I think Grant was so surprised that the pass was that accurate. He just wasn't expecting it to actually go where it was supposed to go, and the Dolphins turned the ball over. Like, the Dolphins, that was so disappointing. I made them one of my picks for the week. I thought the Bills would rest everybody. Props to the Bills. Josh Allen.
Yeah, just Josh Allening. Just putting his stamp saying, no, this is the AFC East is the Bills fucking division.
You better recognize.
Don't be playing us with that fucking Miami shit.
Shout out Bills Mafia. You guys crushing tables, crushing Dolphins.
Ugh.
That got bleak. But the Dolphins do have the number 3 pick, so they'll be all right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, good for them for... Was it Houston that orchestrated that deal, or was it Miami?
Houston traded the 3rd overall pick and like a couple other picks for Laramie Tunsil. And as a result, the Dolphins won 10 games. The Texans won 4. The Dolphins pick 3rd in the draft. The Texans don't have a 1st-round pick.
And that was also a great trade by them because you got to remember, Laramie Tunsil dropped heavy after that fucking face mask video came out.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So they got him at a premium because he dropped way farther than he should have been, and then they flipped him and get a 3rd overall pick out of it? Fucking come on.
I don't know if they're going to keep it. I think that's one of the situations where some team is going to be like, okay, we really want Justin Fields. We really want Zach Wilson. We really want somebody. Miami's going to get a haul for that pick.
Yeah, but then, again, that's even more capital and more capital and more capital off a guy they got at a steal.
I mean, look at what they did last year when they had, 10 picks? I think half of them were in the first 2 rounds. Yo, Miami, their GM is doing a good job down there.
Oh, yeah.
Getting
flow too.
The way they're building up that franchise and stockpiling picks and stuff, I think they also have multiple first-round picks this year, right?
Miami has 2 in the first round.
Okay. And then, 3 in the second round?
I do not have it in front of me, but Miami has 2 in the first round, the Jets have 2 in the first round, and the Jags have 2 in the first round.
Yeah.
Speaking, though, of the Bills, another playoff game is going to be Bills versus the Indianapolis Colts in a very blue and white matchup. Josh Allen, the new young gunslinger. Phil Rivers, the ever-present guy who doesn't curse and says things like darn flabbit.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it!
The Bills are currently a 7-point favorite. I think the Bills win this game by a lot more than 7.
Yeah. I 100% agree on that.
Just watching the way the Colts allowed the Jaguars to come back in the game. Like you said, Dev, the Jaguars had nothing to play for other than just to get their names out there. James Robinson's a good player. Chenault is a good receiver. The Colts should not have let them back in that game.
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
Okay, Mike Glennon.
Daddy Longneck. Mike Glennon. That game's also going to be played in Buffalo with fans, so you have to deal with the frozen tundra.
They're able to get fans in New York?
Yeah, Cuomo said 6,700 fans, so Bills Mafia is going to be loud and proud. They deserve it.
Strong.
Yeah, no, I'm fucking...
They deserve it.
Again, we were talking about this before the show when discussing the whole Peterson situation. I feel like in divisions, everyone's your rival, but there's certain, I hate the Patriots. Miami, I've softened up on them a little bit over the years, but there's always been that contentious rivalry. The Bills were always kind of an afterthought.
The Bills were always little brother, and it was like the Jets would make it to the AFC Championship game and lose, and it was just like, all right, the Bills will beat up on them next year. You know, the Bills had the controller that wasn't plugged in, and you're like, yeah, you're helping me. You're helping me.
Yeah, and it makes me I just don't hate the Bills like I do other people in our division. So I'm happy for them. Bills Mafia, go get your fucking playoff win.
Also, they deserve it because I love that fan base. The passion that they have and the fact that they're okay with slamming people through tables just for fun. Oh hey, we won a game, let's go through a table. Oh hey, we won 2 games in a row.
Tailgates at the Ralph are a whole different breed. Shout out my University of Buffalo squad, but that's going to be fun to see the Bills actually make a run.
And also, props to Buffalo for doing cool shit like breaking through tables, not like these goddamn trash Eagles people eating horse shit.
Yeah, that was a weird thing too. People forget about that.
I did. I'm not going to lie.
People forgot the Eagles celebrated their Super Bowl by winning.
By eating horse shit.
Eating horse shit, yes. Let's talk about the other team on Lake Erie. Our also beloved Cleveland Browns. I got to say, they won 24-22 over the Steelers. Those two teams are going to play each other next week in Pittsburgh for the first round of the playoffs. I'm very concerned for the Cleveland because news came out today. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, tested positive for COVID. He will not be able to coach. Starting Pro Bowl guard, I forget his first name, but Bitonio. I want to say Anthony Bitonio because I just feel like every offensive lineman's name is Anthony. Anthony Bitonio also going to miss the game with COVID. On top of that, the Steelers using Mason Rudolph, who we all know has a history with the Browns. They hung in that game.
They made up after the game, all right? Every fucking news source and Instagram post and everything else showed that picture of upwards and onwards from Mason Rudolph, all right?
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying, if Mason Rudolph is able to hang 22 points on your defense, you got some questions because next week it's going to be Big Ben. This was like a test drive for the Steelers.
I don't have much faith in Big Ben right now. I think he's spent for the season.
Well, the second half against the Colts, when they came back, the difference was they let Ben call the plays at the line, and he picked them apart. And they have so many good receivers.
I 100% agree, but Ben's old, man, and I'm not sure if he's holding up right now because he's been looking not fantastic.
That's why they gave him the week off.
I agree, but I don't know, man. That's the only thing that worries me about that. I'm definitely more worried about Cleveland than I am about the Steelers. Don't get me wrong, because they have a lot more going on. And they have a few people coming back from COVID and stuff like that. And as we've seen throughout the season, it affects your lungs. It affects how you play. You can get in that mental fog.
The brain fog.
So you don't know where they are in this whole thing. So that also worries me. But I think if the Steelers do win this game, it's the last game they're winning in the playoffs. Where if Cleveland can somehow manage a win, I think they have more of a shot to make a run.
Interesting. Dev?
I'm going Steelers on this one. Like Chris said, I'm also worried that the Browns are just dealing with so much COVID. You got players coming back and coaches and potentially players leaving because of COVID. It's one thing to deal with an opponent on the field, but also deal with COVID and have your facilities shut down so that any preparation for the week is all virtual now.
Well, this is the third time this year this has happened to the Steelers.
So are you saying
it happened against the Titans? It happened with the Ravens.
Are you saying that the Steelers are introducing COVID into their opponents' facilities?
Well, I'm not saying that, but it's a little weird if you ask me.
But see,
just gonna connect a few dots, maybe put some tinfoil on my head.
But all their worst games have come off of these.
Well, yeah, it clearly fucks them up to be like, I don't know what to do with my hands. They just don't know what to do. But my pick is going to be the Steelers because when you look at the Browns, their strength is the run game, and that's built off Stefanski, and that's built off a healthy line. So if they're missing Bitonio, they're missing their coach who comes up with these great plays. I think that TJ Watt is going to be up Baker Mayfield's ass, and it's going to be stopping Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think that's just too big of a loss.
But I also think we've seen the Steelers implode way too often this year.
That's true. And they lost in Cincinnati. Ohio's having a moment. The Browns, the Buckeyes.
Yeah, wow, I didn't even think of it like that.
Browns are having a moment. That's what I'm here for. Let's see. What is the other AFC game that we didn't talk about?
I think that's it. I think it's NFC now.
Yeah, I think we talked about all the AFC.
Bills.
Yeah.
Ravens, Titans.
You guys are right. All right, so.
Yeah. We did it.
Yay!
Yeah.
Good job!
All right. NFC side. Packers clinched number 1 overall. The NFC is going to go through Lambeau.
We knew that.
Bring your coats. Bring your jackets. Bring your gloves.
Bring some cheese. Throw it on your head.
Get some hot chocolate on you. Maybe some big wool socks. They beat the Bears. The Bears did not look very good, but the Bears backed in. Congrats.
Yeah, that was I didn't even realize they were even remotely close to being in shot, and then everything happened the way it did.
For the last couple of weeks, I've been saying at 9-7, I think they'd slip in. At 8-8, they slipped in. Congrats.
That was
amazing,
incredible to me.
And they get to play the Saints. The Saints without Kamara, without Latavius Murray, without any real running backs. Ty Montgomery ran for 100 yards. And
we don't really know what Drew Brees is right now. We don't know how he's going to hold up coming back. He's made it through a couple of games so far, but
I think he's still breaking ribs as we speak.
Yeah.
Wait, is that game Saturday or Sunday? Because if
question,
it's Saturday,
but I know it's
they got a
Nickelodeon
chance to
game.
get. True. So if it's Saturday, they got a chance to get Kamara back. But if it's Sunday, no Kamara.
No, I think you got it backwards. Saturday comes before Sunday most of the time.
Sorry. So yeah, if it's Saturday, no Kamara. If it's Sunday, there's a chance. But also, the Saints don't have Michael Thomas either.
Well, I saw it practice, so he's questionable. He practiced yesterday. He might play.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. What I'm really interested in is with the Nickelodeon coverage. How do you explain all of the players with COVID, all of the big hits? What happens if Khalil Mack hits Drew Brees and one of his ribs just flies out?
Well, like I've said, I've done a little more research.
You're going to put slime on it?
Well, no,
yes.
I've done a little more research on it. It's going to be on 5-minute tape delay, so if anything like that happens, or if there's someone's cursing or there's a fight, they can just drop the whole thing and just have the announcers talk about something and then be
That
like, okay, we're back into the game.
That dolphin squeal.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for that.
Right? That's what I wanted so bad.
It's actually, I looked it up too. It's going to be on CBS, so you can watch it like an adult if you want. Or you could just have yourself a fun little Nickelodeon football game because it's never happened before. It's also, the Bears are the first ever 7 seed in the playoffs, as with the Colts, so congrats.
Bears.
The fact that the Colts are the 7th seed and like the 8-8 team is the 7th seed when the 7-9 team is the 4th seed fucking just kills me.
That's the Dolphins right there, 10-6 on the outside looking in, and the Bears 8-8. Nice.
Fucked.
Let's go to the NFC West. You got a bunch of teams out there. First, I want to say fuck you to the San Francisco 49ers for covering at the very last minute and killing the under. That was obnoxious. But the Seattle Seahawks won. They actually ended the year 12-4, which to me, I didn't realize they were that good.
Yeah.
They're going to play at home, and they're hosting
the Los Angeles Rams.
Dun dun dun. For the 3rd time this year, rivals meet.
Yeah, I think Seattle runs away with that game.
Yeah.
Does Goff play?
No.
Okay, well then, yeah, no, Seattle by a mile.
I mean, it's not confirmed, but your dude's coming back from thumb surgery. Had it done yesterday, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he's still talking about. They're still talking about him coming back for the playoffs like it's nothing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, like you look at throwing a football and you think about your thumb. Pretty important.
I mean, Drew Brees, like he destroyed his thumb. He missed 5 games. Jared Goff, nowhere near Drew Brees level. You gonna come back in less than a week? Come on, man.
They also this past weekend were out without Cooper Kupp because of COVID.
Matthew Berry's little Cooper Kupp.
Matthew Berry's little Cooper Kupp. If he's also out and it's just John Wolford and Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, as our good friend Chris Robbins said, I think Seattle wins by a lot.
Yeah.
But I do want to get into the Rams game. The Rams and the Cardinals played this past weekend. The Rams were in. The Cardinals win, and the Cardinals were in. The Rams won that game, which is how the Bears got in. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker was between the Bears and the Cardinals.
Strength of schedule.
Okay, I thought it was just who had the taller quarterback. But
yo, for a short guy, you got all the short jokes on this guy, my guy.
Yeah. It's one of those things we call deflection.
I get you.
Doesn't bother me. I've been saying this for a while, and I'm putting my foot in the ground. I'm going to die on this hill. Cliff Kingsbury is a bust. Sean McVay went into this game with John Wolford, who no one's heard of. I don't think he even knew he was a quarterback this week. He actually didn't. On his LinkedIn profile, he said finance. Like he was a finance bro. He went in without Cooper Kupp, and they won this game.
I don't know if you can call him a bust, though. When the year before he came into the league, they were almost the Jets.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, how do you not win this game?
I mean, it doesn't help that Kyler Murray goes out for, a quarter and a half?
But he knew coming into this game that Kyler wasn't 100%. He knew coming into this game it was going to be a great Rams defense. He knew coming into this game John Wolford was going out there without Cooper Kupp. And they needed a win to get to the playoffs, and they didn't. Like, to me, I don't know. That just shows that Sean McVay, like, for those watching on YouTube can see what I'm doing. For those listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I'm putting Sean McVay hand all the way up and Cliff Kingsbury hand all the way down.
But I'm not sure if you could call Cliff Kingsbury a bust just yet. Like, granted, it's year 2. You saw what he did between last year and this year. Like, turned that team around, had them on right outside the playoffs. And if it wasn't for, Kyler getting hurt, it might be a different story.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. They were on a complete run until Kyler started dealing with this whole shoulder problem he has going on.
But they were also the Hail Murray, which we'll get to later. The incredible catch by DeAndre Hopkins, that gave them a win. Otherwise, they would have been 7-9, and none of this game wouldn't have even mattered.
Yeah, but like I said, that was after. I'm pretty sure that was after the injury, wasn't it?
No, that was the week before. That was the week before because it was the next game against Seattle he got hurt.
Oh.
Okay, well, I mean, I understand that, but That team was on a run before Kyler got hurt. I don't know if you can put that on Kingsbury. I'm not saying I'm sold that he's the next offensive guru, Sean McVay, like Sean McVay of 3 years ago, where every person he's ever touched is gonna get a NFL coaching job.
I think I'm dying on this hill.
But
I'm telling you,
I'm definitely not there yet.
In a year from now, when the Cardinals finish last in the division, we're gonna all be like, yeah, maybe he's a bust.
Well, last in division might still be better than the NFC East.
True.
You're not wrong.
No, honestly, I think a lot of teams in the NFC East have a decent amount of upside. I think the Eagles are going to be garbage next year.
Yeah, but you're not thinking West is the best, East is the least.
Dude, get out.
Yo, did you just bring it back from middle school?
No.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, I think the Giants are going to get Saquon Black. They're going to get a lot of, because they had a lot of guys opt out. Not like a lot of guys comparatively to other teams, you know what I mean?
I think the Patriots had the most, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I think
they had like
10?
they had like 7 defensemen in one day do it, and then even more after that. Like, it was fucking crazy. Because remember, everyone at the beginning of the year was just like, "Oh, this is Bill Belichick tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Here we go again, round 2 of fucking Patriots winning everything for the next 20 years."
So wait, just to confirm, because I want this to show up on a graphic on the screen, we're all going Seahawks over the Rams.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
And then the last NFC matchup, as we discussed, the NFC Beast went to the Washington football team. Shout out Ron Rivera. Hell of a job. They're going to be taking on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks.
As much as... See, this game hurts for me because I want to see Brady make a run just to prove that Belichick wasn't the guy. Just fucking right here and there. But this... You can't not pull for Alex Smith and Ron Rivera after the years they've had.
Well, Chase Young also was saying, "I'm coming for Tom Brady."
Oh yeah, he's ready
hyped.
to eat.
He is ready to go.
I believe his direct quote, which he copied from Giselle, was, "Tom, I'm coming."
Get out. Get out.
I'll Chase Young, more like Chase Old, because he's chasing an old guy.
Quit.
All right, sorry guys.
All right, it's been real. No, but yo, I'm loving Chase Young, just like not giving a fuck and just feel like, yo, I don't care if you're the GOAT, I'm coming for you. Like,
oh no, yeah, Chase Young is feeling himself this year, and he fucking deserves to after the monster year he's had. So,
yo, they're Washington's defensive line is pretty damn good. Like, I've been sleeping.
Yeah.
On them. I didn't realize how good they were. I thought it was all mostly Chase Young.
They might have the best front 7 in the league right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think when the Niners are healthy with Joey Bosa, they'll be up there, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And what's been the thing? Like, as Jet fans, we've heard it for decades about Tom Brady. You heard it as a Giants fan in the Super Bowl. The way you beat Tom Brady.
2 Super Bowls.
2 Super
Pressure the quarterback.
Pressure
Yeah,
Tom
sure.
Brady.
He doesn't like a messy pocket, so get a couple bodies in there, throw him off his timing.
But he also has Antonio Brown.
But you also have to remember, the Patriots are down a couple linemen. Not the Patriots. Sorry, Tom Brady. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But the Bucks are down a couple linemen. Like A.Q. Shipley probably ended his career. Super sad about that. There was one other big lineman.
Devin White.
Yeah.
Devin White and Devin Bush are both hurt. Sorry, Devin, but I get Devin Bush and Devin White both confused, both middle linebackers, both injured.
Devin
It's
Mitchell
okay.
about to be hurt too, all right?
Hey, man. Hey, I'm training it. Yo, if they need me, I can play, man. I can play.
The real question though is Mike Evans, because he got hurt the first series this past weekend.
Yeah, but you still have Chris Godwin and AB. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Mike Evans is 6'5". Like, he's a monster.
No, I get it, but like we said all year, you still have Chris Godwin, you still have AB, you still have Gronk.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Scotty Miller.
Yeah, Scotty doesn't know.
He doesn't know he's still on the team.
Yeah, Scotty doesn't know. I did see that Antonio Brown hit an incentive bonus for $250,000. That was really nice of Tom Brady to help his friend.
No, literally just because Tom Brady was just like, hey, here's the ball.
Well, here's something
Hike.
I saw.
Here's the ball.
Hike.
Here's the ball.
If we're doing conspiracies and connect the dots, Antonio Brown, when he got to Tampa, was living with Tom Brady.
Right.
That makes Tom Brady Antonio Brown's landlord. Everybody's been late on rent. Tom Brady says, hey, I can get you the ball, get you your check, comes back around. Tom Brady basically got himself Antonio Brown's incentive.
I don't know. You see what happens to AB when guys have tried to get money out of him. Didn't exactly end well.
That's true.
So maybe it's in the contract that like in that incentive just go straight to Tom. AB doesn't see it. There you go. You don't have a problem.
No, I think Tom Brady was like, fuck it. I like AB here. I'm trying to keep him happy. Let's get this man his fucking money.
The two of them became best friends, and I would love to be...
Which I don't understand how. They're literally the two polar opposites of each other.
I would love to be in the room when the two of them are hanging out. Like, them and Gronk, just like the three most different personalities.
Yeah, right? Just like fucking complete opposites in a triangle.
Tom Brady's having like a kale smoothie. Gronk is chugging like a Monster vodka. And Antonio Brown's just like making a rap video. Window. Yeah, that too.
Fucking dyeing his mustache blonde.
You think Antonio Brown walks into the Brady Giselle household and says no to Giselle, no white women?
I can't.
But it's okay though, because she comes back with him being like, "It's okay, I'm Brazilian."
And she goes, "Fuck you! I make more money than everyone here." So
that would be a really good way for the Bucs to circumvent the cap by like not paying Tom Brady and saying, "Hey Tom, just eat off your wife's plate." But
hey Tom, your wife makes fucking $100 million a year. All right, so
all right, let's.
I think also that's probably half the reason he was willing to take those pay cuts in Patriots land.
That's what I'm saying.
Everyone else in the league, not only do they eat off them, their wife, their kids, their extended family, their friends from home, they all eat off their one guy. Tom Brady's just like, yeah, this is like my pocket money.
That's what I'm saying is like any team, like the Bucs could just say, Brady, we're giving you like the bare minimum because you can eat off Giselle's plate. I just want to bring it full circle. Who we like in this game?
Honestly,
I think the Bucs opened as 8-point favorites.
I was heavy, like you saw it when our original reactions. I was kind of heavy Bucs leading into this. I'm not as sure now that we've talked it out. I think this is the perfect matchup for Washington, because that Washington front seven can for sure cause Brady some problems. Bottle up any running game they have. Yeah, is their pass coverage a little more suspect comparatively? Sure, but if you can pressure Tom Brady. We've seen how that works out for Tom Brady.
All right, so who do you like to win the game? Who do you like on the spread? We'll do it like that, because this game, I have different answers for those.
Honestly, Washington spread all day. The other thing that worries me is about the Bucs is their defense has been lights out one game, absolutely dog shit the next.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of talking myself into Washington. I'm not going to lie.
All right, there you go.
Like, I don't think they make it any farther than that, but I think this particular game might be tailor-made for them.
All right, so we got one in the books for Washington. Dev?
Man, this is hard. This might be the hardest game for me to pick, but...
Save the best for last.
I'm going to say Bucs to win. And what's the spread?
8.
I think Washington will cover.
Yeah, I'm with Dev on this. I think Washington covers, keeps it really close, but I think the Bucs are just a better team. I think they're I think they're just slightly more experienced all around.
I think the Bucs are far and away the better team as a whole. I just think Washington football's strengths are every single one of the Bucs' weaknesses.
I agree, but I think you're forgetting the other side of the ball, where, like you said, the Bucs' defense has been hit or miss. I just think that with Alex Smith, and I love Alex Smith. We all love Alex Smith. This is an Alex Smith loving podcast.
Pro Alex Smith, guys.
I just don't think he's going to be able to get anything off against them because you have, you still have JPP and Dominican Sue. You have a good pass rush. They may or may not have Antonio Gibson, which is huge because he's been battling. Like, he played against the Eagles, but he didn't play. Like, he barely got involved. And just Terry McLaurin just have one weapon. I don't know. I think it'll be probably the most entertaining game of the weekend, or one of.
But like I said, that defense has been very hit and miss all year.
That's true.
So it's kind of just which defense shows up, in my opinion.
Now that I say it, I realized we talked about the Saints Bears, but we didn't actually make picks. But I think we're gonna all say the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to do that?
There we go.
All right. So there you have it. We'll put our picks up online. We invite you, our listeners, our friends of the program, to make your picks as well.
And we will be doing brackets, like we said a little earlier. Get a chance to win some Basement Boys podcast merch. Basically, the way we're going to run it is whoever does their, basically like any other bracket system, whoever does their bracket right wins the merch. If we get multiple winners, multiple people, we'll just randomly select one of the winners.
Yeah. We'll do it like March Madness, Playoff Madness, January Madness.
Something.
All right. All right.
Moving on.
Is it time for our NFL awards?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Drum roll.
Eric, why don't you start out?
Are we starting off at the top with the big one?
Oh, yeah.
All right. The MVP, most valuable player. I think we all have the same idea of who was in the finalist conversation. About 3 weeks ago, I would have said Patrick Mahomes hands down, but my most valuable player goes to Aaron Rodgers. 51 total touchdowns to 5 interceptions. They have the best record in the NFC. Playoffs are going to go through Lambeau in the NFC. Congrats to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
What about you, Dev?
I'm going with Aaron Rodgers as well. I look at it as would this team be able to have the success it did with if he was on team, and I don't think it would. Also, lit up the league by storm and had more touchdowns than punts for the whole season.
Wow.
I think it was like 48 touchdowns to like 46 punts.
Solid case there. I am going to diverge from this a little bit from you guys. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has had a fantastic season, and I understand that he's going to win MVP. It just is what it is. But just me being, again, I've talked about it a little bit before on the show, just me being a purist for the idea of most valuable player to a team. I think Tennessee's entire offense runs through Derrick Henry, whether or not he's getting the ball or not. And I think if Derrick Henry's not on that team's not even sniffing the playoffs. I think that team is probably top 10 pick without Derrick Henry. So I'm going Derrick Henry. And there it is.
Well, that moves on to our next award, Offensive Player of the Year, which for me is Derrick Henry. 2K yards, impressive.
Yeah, I also agree on one with Derrick Henry. I mean, 2K yards, very impressive. And then also, he put at least 4 or 5 grown men into the ground.
Ground!
And the touchdown he had against Baltimore. I think it was in overtime. Like, whew! That was some beauty.
Yeah. There's just nothing the defense can do to stop him.
Nah.
Yeah, so basically we just all swapped. You guys swapped picks with me because my offense player of the year, you got to give it to Aaron Rodgers. Just fucking, like you guys said, 5 interceptions to 51 touchdowns, I believe it was.
Yeah, 48 passing, 3 rush.
More touchdowns than they have punted this whole season. Like, you can't beat that. And I understand why he's going to win MVP, and I'm not saying people are wrong. It's just for me, as a purist for the idea of most valuable player to a franchise, I had to go Derrick Henry. But for sure, Aaron Rodgers, Offensive Player of the Year, hands down.
For these next 3 awards, actually, We all agree. So
because there's no other choices really.
We're gonna say them, but I also think we should get into who we would put as like our second and third choices, just to make a conversation out of it.
Right.
So Defensive Player of the Year. Who wants to say his name? We all agreed. Unanimous decision.
T.J. Watt.
Yeah, 15 sacks.
Anchored Steelers defense that was incredible all year.
Yeah, just fucking the Watt brothers heard that people were talking crazy about them Bosas, and we're like, nah, we taking this shit back.
They're the original first family of football.
Oh, for sure.
You got to think also with the Steelers, they had Bud Dupree and Devin Bush or Devin White get injured. I don't remember. One's on Tampa, one's on Pittsburgh. They're both injured.
I think Bush is on Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh had injuries. TJ Watt kept that defense solid. So TJ Watt for sure. Question becomes, who would be your second pick? Contrarian, who's number 2?
Ooh.
For me, it's the big guy, Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Because his presence at any given moment, getting to the quarterback, stuffing the run, he is such an impact player. He's the most valuable player to the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd probably go the same. That's where I was thinking as well. Just Aaron Donald is just, he wears 99 because he's the perennial Madden 99. I do not see him falling out of that slot anytime soon. That defense is so scary because of Aaron Donald. And that's just all it is.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, when you're on offense and you're playing the Rams, you got to think, where's Aaron Donald at all times? And when you can go out there and make teams plan against you, you're a beast to be reckoned with.
Do you remember?
So we're all agreeing TJ Watt, then Aaron Donald?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
It's no fun.
I mean,
I know.
Like,
it's just the two best answers.
Yeah.
It's just
but do you remember when Khalil Mack was up for all that money and they were trying to be like, oh, he's he might be even better than Aaron Donald. Like Aaron Donald heard that and was just like, no.
I went to Buffalo with Khalil Mack. I graduated 2 years after he was drafted. I saw him on campus a couple of times just because, everybody sees him. You stop and take pictures. He means a lot to me. Aaron Donald's better.
Yeah.
I love Aaron Donald. I love Khalil Mack. It's Donald, Mack, TJ Watt. The three of them are just unbelievable pass rushers. Speaking of which, I'm going to go to Defensive Rookie of the Year first because we all have the same one.
Again, there's no way you could have anyone else besides Chase Young.
I mean, he legit murdered somebody and also wrecked a bunch of the quarterback's days.
I mean, you got to be careful saying that. We're talking about football players here.
I'm sorry. Allegedly.
Ray Lewis.
Right. You know that Ray Lewis guy?
Aaron Hernandez.
Allegedly.
Simpson.
Well, Hernandez, not allegedly.
Yeah, Hernandez, not allegedly.
OJ and Ray. We're not talking about murders here.
No, we're moving on.
So Chase Young, phenomenal. We talked about him earlier, but just how he gets to the quarterback on every play. He's stuffing the run. He has such a high motor. It's just unbelievable what the energy he brings to the defense.
Oh, yeah.
Who would be the second pick? Anybody have anybody?
I honestly don't.
No.
There's no one even on Chase Young's level this year.
I would say, I believe his name is Jeremy Chin on Minnesota because he had 2 back-to-back games with fumble recoveries for touchdowns.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, no, Chase Young, far and away best defensive rookie.
There's not even
I think
we'll get into offensive rookie.
That's the next up. Do you want to jump into that?
Right, yeah, sure. Let's go in there.
So Chase Young out of Ohio State. The rookie we all have, LSU standout, wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, came in and did what no other rookie has ever done, ever.
1,400 yards flat, which is cool in itself.
Yeah.
I think just only other rookies that have done that have been Randy Moss.
No, he broke Moss's record.
Yeah, no one's ever done that.
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing is he's
okay,
not
I stand corrected. I'm sorry.
He's not just setting records over other good rookies. It was Randy Moss whose record he broke. Kid was named to the Pro Bowl as a rookie.
And just something that I feel like does not get mentioned in this. He's doing all this with Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. Not Drew Brees, not Tom Brady, not Pat Mahomes.
And it's the Vikings offense, which we know goes through Dalvin Cook. It's a rush first offense, and him and Thielen both have great years. That's it.
Yeah, and he's competing for targets with Adam Thielen.
Yeah. Unbelievable season. So, who would you guys have as the second pick? Because we got to have a little contention here. We got to have some arguments, some discussion.
The only other person I think that can really take a shot at that is Justin Herbert. He came in and lit up the league.
Yeah.
And no one expected him to. He was not supposed to be this guy.
He wasn't supposed to start. It's just that the Chargers had a medical malpractice lawsuit pending incident with Tyrod Taylor.
Jesus Christ.
Just sucks for Tyrod. But
yeah,
Herbert, 4,000 yards, balled out. Dev, is he your second offensive rookie of the year, number 2?
Yeah, just because, I mean, look at what he did with what was around him. Like, he balled out, but let me go off the beaten path. What about Antonio Gibson? How do you feel about him? Because he came into a crazy situation where he wasn't expected to be the full-time running back. And then all of a sudden, surprise, they gave him the keys and he ran.
Yeah.
I think it's a strong play, but I don't think you can touch what Jefferson or Herbert did this year.
I think the only other guy in that conversation is James Robinson.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the love because the Jaguars obviously sucked, but the numbers he put up, like, he's going to be a top 5 fantasy pick next year.
100%.
Rushing, I believe he got 1,000 yards or very close to 1,000. No, he did. I
think he got 1,000.
I think he had 1,200 to be honest. But he was a receiver. He was, granted, being the offense for the Jaguars isn't a ton, but he was their offense. He was an explosive, dynamic player.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is the award that we all disagree on.
Ooh.
We're all correct. All of these guys should win it. NFL Coach of the Year. Who wants to start?
Why don't you get it, Dev?
So, for me, it's close because I could not decide between these two. But, can I do, like, co-coach of the year, or do I have to pick one?
We'll let the fans vote.
All right. So, my candidates have been Brian Flores out of Miami and Kevin
Stefanski.
Thank you, Stefanski out of Cleveland. I mean, first off, let's look at B-Flow for what he did. That team was not expected to be a 10-win team. You come in, you got Tua, you keep him on the sideline for a little bit, so you start winning games with Fitzmagic.
Probably should have left him there, but you know.
Probably should have, but whatever. You know, we're here now. And then, and then you hand over the keys to Tua, and they light it up, and they were right there fighting for a playoff spot. You know, like, I think this is his second. No, it's his first season in Miami, right?
Who? Flores or Tua?
Flores.
Second.
All right, so second season, you turn that team around from a 5-win team to a 10-win team. Oh my God, I can't speak anymore.
Not doing great.
No, I'm not. It's just like, that's impressive. And then you also look at what Kevin, help me out again?
Stefanski.
Thank you. Has done in Cleveland, got them to a playoff spot for the first time in 18 years. Like, that team is old enough to go buy a pack of smokes and a bunch of porno mags.
Oh, okay.
All right. Most people don't buy them anymore. It's free on the internet. But yeah, whatever floats your boat.
You're aging yourself a little bit there, Dev.
Get off my lawn, you young whippersnappers.
All right, I'm going to take mine, sticking with the AFC. I'm taking Sean McDermott, coach of the Buffalo Bills. Team won the division for the first time in 25 years, something like that, right? 13-3, absolutely. They just became a wagon. Like, they went from a team that we all thought, yeah, they might take the division now that Brady's out, like, whatever. They could take a good run. They're looking like the hottest team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he's got Josh Allen looking like a stud.
He's got Josh Allen looking like a stud. The defense is playing well. Like, they are probably the most likely team to beat the Chiefs. I don't know if they will, but if there's any team right now that it looks like can challenge the Chief for the crown, it looks like it's the Buffalo Bills. And it's obviously a lot of Josh Allen, a lot to do with Sean McDermott getting this team to the next level.
All right, I'm going to kick it over to the NFC. And surprising to everyone, I'm going to drop it into the NFC East. I think you got to give it to
Doug Peterson.
Get the fuck out of here. I think you got to give it to old Steamboat Ron Rivera down there in Washington. First of all, coming into the season, dealing with every single type of controversy you could have. Just sexual assault allegations and just name changes and just literally anything that could go wrong for an organization. Dan Snyder was just like, we got it. Let's go.
You had the whole Dwayne Haskins experiment fiasco.
Yeah, then not only...
Kyle Allen snapped his ankle.
Yeah, and then not only that, you have, like you said, you deal with the Dwayne Haskins thing, guy you drafted in the first round. Yeah, he dropped farther than people thought he was going to, but a guy that was supposed to come in, be your franchise quarterback for the next 15 years at the very least, have to not only that, then bring it back to the comeback player of the year. Well, we'll get to that, but everyone knows who that's going to be either way. Fucking Alex Smith, you got to toss it to him with half a leg and still makes the playoffs. I don't care. I get it. Things happen the way they did. They're 7-9. Should they have really made the playoffs? Probably not. But he did it. I don't care. And did all that while actively fighting cancer.
Yes.
Literally getting IVs at halftime just to be able to keep coaching. Going through chemo, going through radiation therapy. Like, the obstacles in his way to be able to do what that man did this year is absolutely incredible. And I think he has to get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like, hats off to Riverboat Ron. Shall we get into what you alluded to, our comeback player of the year? We're actually renaming the award, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, we're starting a campaign right now for the NFL to rename that award, because if there's anyone who deserves comeback player of the year, it's Alex Smith.
Yeah.
What that man has went through in the last year, just to be able
surgeries.
Losing half his leg. I still cannot get over that 30 for 30. I will say it every time we bring up his name.
They thought he might die.
Yeah.
Legitimately might die.
He came very close. Like, he was right there.
Like, everyone talks about how Teddy Bridgewater almost died on the field and blah, 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 blah. Alex Smith was worse. By a lot.
And he's a division winner.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so let's be real. Alex Smith, comeback player of the year award goes to Alex Smith.
no one even expected him to make their 53-man roster this year. Like, they thought it was nice that they were holding a spot open for him as a sign of, like, solidarity. And, like, yeah, that's all well and good. And it was great. Fucking absolutely fantastic. I love that they did that for him. But not only did he come back, he made the roster. And then he wins out the starting spot from this young 23-year-old supposed to be stud.
Well, he won it with help from the 23-year-old stud being an absolute idiot. But no, 100%. Alex Smith exceeded expectations. He played not just, like, well enough for them to win. He played well. Like, he wasn't just a game manager. He played well. Terry McLaurin, great weapon to have. Congrats to Washington. I said it to start the show. I mean, we got into how they got there, but regardless, they won the division.
Dude, that whole team just had so many obstacles in its way this year. Just the team as a whole.
How bad? How much did you hold your breath when on his first snap, like his first game back, he gets sacked by who other than Aaron Donald?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Terrified.
All of, I think collectively, NFL fans just...
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
I
a
thought he was
solid...
about to die again.
There's a solid 5 seconds where you were just sitting there, like, holding your breath. Every single person.
If Alex Smith is a cat, he's down to, like, 7 lives.
I'd venture lower than that.
Let's see, what other awards can we talk about? Let's go with the biggest surprise of the year. So for some of us, that is a team. For some of us, that is a player.
Actually, me and Dev have both.
Okay, well,
I didn't get it. Yeah, we do.
Well, for me, the biggest surprise was the Miami Dolphins. You alluded to it with your coach of the year, Brian Flores. The Dolphins, I thought they were just going to go Fitzy the whole year. I really did not think we'd see Tua because you got to remember Tua came off the really big hip injury at Alabama. They weren't sure how healthy he was. It surprised me that he played at all. It surprised me how well that defense played. Like Xavier and Howard in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. We kind of forgot him. But again, Brian Flores got them playing well. Devontae Parker had a good season. Mike Gesicki. Nobody really thought they would compete. They won 10 games. Sucks that they're in the AFC because 10 games in the NFC you're in. The AFC outside looking in. So my big surprise was the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, so my big surprise team of the year was the Buffalo Bills. I expected them to win the division, but I expected them to kind of skate into the division. Just weak Jets team, weak Miami team, Patriots not knowing what they're doing for the first time in 2 decades. But they came out and put their stamp on the fact that they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I can 100% see them in the Super Bowl this year. They've played lights out, and they just put the cherry on top, just absolutely destroying Miami like they did to keep them out of the playoffs. If anyone should have pulled a Doug Peterson, it was the Bills. Because if they can do that to that team this week, just do it again in another couple weeks.
Yeah, for me, my surprising team is the Washington football team. Just because, like you alluded to earlier, Chris, with everything they were dealt with, did not think they were going to be a 7-win team. Thought they were going to be, like a 4-win team, maybe 5 wins at the most. But to come in, win the division, you're getting home field advantage in the playoff for, at least this game. I got to give it to them.
So we kind of all took our surprise team as each other's coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did do that.
Funny how that happens.
Should we get into surprise players?
Yeah.
Sure.
You guys take the wheel because...
You got it, Dev.
All right. My surprise player is out of Duval County. Duval! And James Robinson. Just because dude's an undrafted rookie. Nobody knew about him. And wasn't expected to start. And then next thing you know, Leonard Fournette, see you later. He goes to Tampa Bay. Half the other running backs, don't know their names. They get COVID. And James Robinson's like, all right, hey, guess it's my turn now. Like, I'm going to run amok on this league. And what do you get, 1,200 yards, you said?
Yeah. Potential offensive rookie of the year mention.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, my surprise player of the year, and as you can tell, I'm really, really impressed by what the Washington football team did this year. I'm giving it to Alex Smith again. He should not be here. He should not be walking.
He's got to be one of the most dedicated men in history to his craft.
Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from him right now, but everyone wants to talk about Matt Stafford coming out, playing this last game injured, how tough he was, how gritty he was. Everyone's talking about Jalen Hurts coming back after that not Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields coming back after that monster hit about during the Clemson game where he got spiked to the ribs. How tough, how gritty, how powerful that was. No one dealt with what Alex Smith dealt with. No one. He should not be walking straight.
Okay, but in fairness,
and he's starting it on an NFL football team.
In fairness to Justin Fields and to Alex Smith, both of those games mattered. Where for Matt Stafford, there's no reason for him to play that game. But that's not to take away. You're right. Alex Smith absolutely surprised everybody with how well he played.
Yeah. Should not have sniffed a roster. Shouldn't have been able to even play in an XFL team when it comes back. I'm not going to lie. But came in, won the starting job off the young rookie, supposed to be a stud, and played great. Didn't just play well enough. Played great.
Okay. My surprise player of the year.
If you guys don't know this yet, I fucking love Alex Smith.
Gathering that. So my surprise of the year, and we talked about him a little bit earlier in the episode, Antonio Brown, because he was suspended the first half of the season. The last we saw of him was on Hard Knocks when he was flying in on a hot air balloon. He dyed his mustache blonde. He put out rap songs. Like, nobody knew what was going on. He's facing legal issues. He was, played one game last season. So nobody really knew that he was going to play at all. He joins his good friend Tom Brady down in Tampa. Not only did he play, he played really well. Last week he had, 10 catches, 150 yards, something incredible game. He's poised to make a playoff run with this team, and he hasn't had any issues. No complaints of him, throwing chairs out windows, no calling out teammates on social media.
And if you remember,
not yet.
And if you remember, at the beginning of the year, BA was straight up, in no uncertain terms, saying Antonio Brown is not going to be on this team.
Yeah.
And not only did they somehow figure out a way to convince him to get on the team, but you have not heard a peep out of Arians.
Right.
And Arians has been trashing Brady all year.
And Tom Brady is not going to tolerate any of these, any of the stuff that Antonio Brown did with his, week with the Raiders. Any of that would not fly in a Tom Brady locker room. So I guess props to Tom Brady for, running a tight ship, no pun intended, with the Buccaneers. But Antonio Brown, my surprise. Let's do disappointments. Who we got for disappointments?
Disappointing teams?
Disappointing teams, disappointing players. I'm just saying the word disappointment.
Yeah, disappointing team. People are going to look at me like, the fuck are you talking about? But my disappointing team for the year was the Baltimore Ravens. And let me tell you why. I understand they still had a great year. Still made the playoffs. Still poised for a playoff run even. But they struck fear in people's hearts last year. They did not do that this year. I don't know. I don't feel the same way about them this year that I do last year. I don't feel the same way about Lamar Jackson this year that I do last year. And yeah, it was a crazy year. They went through a bunch of COVID things. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I just don't have the same feeling about them as I did last year of just fear. When Tennessee won that game last year, I was shocked. I literally did not have words. This year, I might be leaning Tennessee.
I don't know, man. The Ravens have won 4 in a row. They've been looking hot. But I see
agree.
what you're saying. They
I'm not saying they
seemingly took a step back.
I'm not saying they had a bad year. I'm just saying where they were last year to where they were this year, I do not feel the same.
Okay. That's fair. My disappointment team is kind of the opposite, where I really expected them to take a big leap, and they did not. And I've alluded to it earlier. I think their coach is a bust. The Arizona Cardinals are my big disappointment. I think just the way that Kyler Murray was playing, when you add DeAndre Hopkins, who is one of the best receivers in football, the way that Kenyon Drake played for them going down the stretch last year, I thought this would be a team that could at the very least go 10-6 and make the playoffs. I know Seattle's great, and I know the Rams are good. The 49ers are a good team when healthy. They had a ton of injuries. To me, it just seemed like there were games that the Cardinals, against the 49ers 2 weeks ago, they put up 12 points against an injured 49ers defense. This past weekend, again, I will not let this go. Cliff Kingsbury against John Wolford. I know he's an offensive-minded coach. Against John Wolford, couldn't get a stop. You coach both sides of the ball. So for me, the Arizona Cardinals ending the year 8-8, not in the playoffs, they're my big disappointment. And I understand Kyler was hurt. He'll be fine next year. DeAndre will be back. I just think that this was your chance with the 49ers injured, with the Rams not being... The Rams lost to the Jets, so I don't know how good the Rams really are. This was your opportunity.
Make a good point right there. For me, I'm going a little outside the box, and the Dallas Cowboys, I would say, are my disappointment team. Just because they go in and they had, Dak, Zeke, Amari, Gallup, who had a promising rookie year last year. So right off the bat, it's looking like, hey, this team's going to be like a big threat in the NFC East. Defense a little suspect, but you thought, they could get you some good stops and get some victories out of that. And then to see them just fall flat after Dak got hurt and Zeke did not look like the Zeke that he was when he first came to the league. And to only muster up 6 wins, I gotta give it to the Cowboys.
Yeah, honestly, I would say the Cowboys would be my biggest disappointment of the last 5 years.
But I think that's partially because the media every year overhypes them.
I know, but they, for the last at least 3-4 years, maybe not 5, they've had such a plethora of talent.
On offense.
I agree.
They've never had a good defense.
But
this was the year they were supposed to have a good defense, though.
But even on offense, they haven't been doing what they should be.
That's fair. I think a lot of that comes down to their offensive linemen getting hurt. When you lose Tyron Smith, who's like a perennial Pro Bowler.
And I also think that
they lost Doug Martin.
I also think a big part of that's on Jason Garrett and then moving into what might even be a worse situation for them with Mike McCarthy.
I agree. I think that was one of, if not the worst hire of the offseason. All right, I think that pretty much wraps up. Do we have more awards?
I think you had one for sadness with gambling.
Yeah. We got the worst gambling loss of all time. The play of the year, in my opinion, is the Hail Murray, the unbelievable DeAndre Hopkins catch over the Buffalo Bills. I had the Cardinals as 2.5-point favorites. That means 3 points wins me the bet. That touchdown put them up by 2 points, and they elected, stupid fucking Cliff Kingsbury, elected not to kick the extra point. So they won the game by 2 points and didn't win the bet.
Okay. I'm starting to piece together where all this Cliff Kingsbury hate from Eric is coming from this year.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury lost him a lot of fucking money this year.
That's when things got sour between me and Cliff.
If we're doing play of the year, I'm 100% going fucking DK Metcalf straight up hunting down Buda Baker. Like no one's fucking business. That was the craziest thing. He came from 10, 15 yards back.
That was a meme.
Just fucking killed him.
That play just instant meme. Even Buda was surprised by it.
Yeah, look, in the last second, he looks back and he's like, oh, hell no.
And I'm not sure if y'all saw, but when Buda got to the sidelines, he goes, how'd he catch my ass? Where'd he come from? How'd he catch my ass?
Like, he wasn't even mad about it. He was just like, that was incredible.
Right.
Oh,
if
man.
If I gotta go play of the year, I mean, those are both great plays, but.
Because if you remember, maybe 2-3 weeks before that, everyone's just like, oh, DK doesn't have it. He doesn't play hard. He didn't run out that ball and got the ball popped out from his hands. Within 3 weeks, he was just like, nah, that's over.
DK had a breakout year. Definitely breakout.
And last year, he had a breakout year. He had a breakout from his breakout. DK's a monster.
He is. I would say, like, my play of the year might be, I alluded earlier, Derrick Henry sealing that victory against the Ravens. It was overtime. Looked like he was about to get stopped, and then magically the seats just parted for him, and he's running for 50-some-odd yard touchdown.
He gets the rematch this weekend in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how it goes down.
That would be exciting.
All right, so I think that's it for our NFL awards.
Yeah, that wraps it up.
Yep.
Boom. All right. You got anything else to talk about, guys?
Well, we aren't the biggest college football fans on the show, but we do owe the entire state of Ohio an apology.
A very strong apology.
When we had our breakdown last episode, we kind of glossed over them and just went with the Alabama-Clemson round 17 matchup. Ohio State put on an absolute clinic.
Really did.
Taking the Clemson defense through the wash. Justin Fields, what can you say? Like you said earlier, hit to the ribs, 6 touchdowns, and he was just throwing dimes all over the field.
Yeah, and really, I feel like for the first time, really showed a major chink in Trevor Lawrence's armor.
Don't say that.
I didn't mean it like that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, that's a saying. That is a saying.
It is.
Yeah, in certain circles.
All right, chill out, my guy.
Yeah, we can cut all that. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence did, for the first time, it seemed like he had, like you were saying, I don't want to steal your saying, but like he had adversity and he kind of crumbled.
Yeah, he did not handle it well. And honestly, I think that might have shot him down a couple draft boards. I don't think it's going to take him out of the first overall pick, but I think people are evaluating him differently now, if you understand what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying, and I think a lot of people are having that conversation about Justin Fields. Did he leapfrog Trevor Lawrence?
I wouldn't go there either. Don't get me wrong. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number 1 overall pick, but I think
it's now a conversation.
Yeah, I think it at the very least has NFL coaches thinking differently about Trevor Lawrence.
I just want to pump the brakes on that though, because let's look back to some previous. This is like 15 years ago when Vince Young beat USC in the championship game, and I'm a diehard USC fan for no reason other than they were just fun to watch. Vince Young shot to the top of all the boards. Everybody was so hyped. He was the 3rd overall pick, I believe, for the Titans. And that fizzled out real quick. I believe 2 years later, a man by the name of Jamarcus Russell had an incredible bowl game. He threw like a 70-yarder from his knees in the combine. He looked incredible for a very short period of time. Number 1 overall pick to the Raiders, and that didn't work out at all. So I don't like falling in love with somebody based off of one game.
No, I agree.
Justin Fields does have a great body of work, but to say that he jumps over Trevor Lawrence, I think that's a little far. That's just us being optimistic Jet fans.
No, I 100%, like I said, before even everything, Trevor Lawrence is going to be taken number 1 overall. I'm just saying I think he gets evaluated a little differently off of that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he got put in the big spot against a team that could actually defend, and he did not handle it well.
I think part of that's on Dabo. I think part of that's the game prep for Dabo Swinney, because, Devin, you said this last week. We were thinking it would be a Clemson versus Alabama game, but you said that their weakness was their secondary, and that you thought Devonta Smith was going to rip them up, which he probably would have, but we saw Justin Fields do it instead.
Yeah, I was game early, and I'm sorry. I apologize to Ohio State, the actual state of Ohio, and sorry, we glossed over you guys. You proved us wrong.
So the question becomes, who wins the championship?
I'll say it. I'm going to say Bama.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles, and because I haven't seen her in a couple of years, but I used to have this one old friend who's a super big Ohio State fan, so I'll do it for her. I'll pick the Buckeyes.
All right, there we have it.
I don't know how much I 100% believe that, but I'll do it for fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun game regardless.
Yeah. I think if Justin Fields can show out like he did against Clemson, against this team, I think that might cause some problems on draft boards.
That would be something.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Nick Saban will allow that. Just simply won't allow that. We saw what he did to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was a good team. I think that's the big conversation to have with college football right now, is that Notre Dame did belong there. The conversation people are having was like, should it be Georgia? Should it be Cincinnati? Should it be Texas A&M? I don't think it really matters who you put in that 4 spot, because you have...
They were going to get eaten by Alabama.
Exactly. You have 3 teams that are just head and shoulders above everyone else, and whoever you put in that 4 seed, like last year, instead of Alabama, it was LSU, but it was still Clemson, Ohio State. Alabama didn't make it to the playoffs last year, and LSU just destroyed Oklahoma. We've seen Alabama destroy Oklahoma. We've seen, Michigan State sneak in and get crushed. We've seen Washington sneak in and get crushed. Like, you have 3 dominant programs and no one else. I mean, it's not no one else. Like, Georgia should be proud of their team. Cincinnati, you had an almost perfect season. Be proud of your team. A&M, all of these teams had good seasons. But you know what you are, and that's not Alabama. That's not Clemson. That's not Ohio State.
And see, this is something that I think the opening up of like image and likeness rights, I think that's something that's going to be big in this, because yeah, Alabama and Clemson are the teams right now, but if that opens up, all the brand deals are not going to be in Alabama. They're not going to be in Ohio.
I strongly disagree. I don't think, what else is there to do in those states? Like, the state of Alabama's economy runs through Tuscaloosa's football team.
Yeah, but they cannot. But what I'm saying is, it's not like they're going to get paid for Bama ads. The opportunities. No, the school still can't pay them, so they can't pay them to do ads for Bama. Yeah, they might get the random fucking chicken shop in Alabama because it's like the one thing in fucking Alabama, but I think the players that go to a team that's closer to New York, a team that's closer to California, a team that's closer to these big metropolitan areas are going to make more money because there's going to be much larger opportunities around them.
But I think that's where the college football teams that currently are big, I think that's where they're getting their strength, is that Alabama doesn't compete with an NFL team. Like, New York doesn't have a college program that's dominant. Like, I went to Buffalo. I'm happy we had a good season. Buffalo is never going to be, like, New York isn't going to ever have a top-tier college team because we're so concerned with our pro teams. Boston, they do have a ton of colleges in Boston, but none of them are really dominant sports programs because they're so into their pro sports. I just think when you have Ohio, you have a ton of football players coming from Ohio. So many coaches come from the state of Ohio and Michigan, and that the whole Bible Belt goes to the SEC. They don't have the major metropolitans, and that's where their money gets all funneled into the college programs.
Right. But what I'm saying is the money that gets funneled into the college programs, these players cannot touch. It's going to become from doing ads. It's going to become from doing this, that, and the third. All these studios are located in places like New York, in places like Miami, in places like California. Just the money opportunities will be more in these major metropolitan areas. Whether or not it's the place that's known to have a big school or whatever, when it comes down, if these players can still make it to the NFL, still have nice seasons, still do all this, and make tens of thousands of dollars while doing it.
Yeah, but there's no chance that they're not going to make that same money playing for Alabama because everybody tunes into every game Alabama plays anyways.